The 18 Strong Podcast, episode number 359 with Eric Schaetty from Schaetty Strength and Fitness. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the 18 Strong Podcast, where we're here to help you build a stronger game because we believe everyone deserves to play better longer. This week is an exciting one for me. I have a really good friend of mine, Eric Schaetty from Schaetty Strength and Fitness on the show. Eric is one of my really good friends. We play a lot of golf together. We actually work together. He actually works outside of this facility with me. And we get to talk to Eric about not only his golf transformation, but Eric has an extensive background in the strength and fitness and conditioning world as well. And so we're talking a lot about both his journey as a golfer and his fitness journey, but also how he has then taken that into his professional world and what he's doing now, working with a lot more golfers compared to his initial start in the fitness industry, which really began with him working in martial arts and CrossFit and a lot of traditional weightlifting. So today's episode is great because we're talking about not just different training styles, but we're talking about what Eric did himself to go from a 12 handicap last year at about the same time down to a 4.9 handicap. And it involved much less in regards to practice and technique than you would likely think. And so we dive really deep into what he did, how his workouts impacted that, but ultimately from a golf standpoint, what he did. Then we discuss different training styles and how he's kind of changed his tactics from his initial start to now working with golfers and how that impacts what you do yourself in the gym. And what's really neat is that we talk about how if you're somebody who's just kind of getting started again or getting back into the gym, how you're going to benefit so much more than somebody that's been working out for a long period of time. So if you're nervous about doing that, we talk about why it's so important that you just get started. And then lastly, we talk about the importance of consistency over everything and how being consistent with a goal is naturally just going to produce the results. But oftentimes we don't dive into being consistent. We rely more on our motivation, which can wane. And ultimately that can lead to failure in your goals, failure in your training program, failure in your golf practice. Whatever goal you have to be consistent in the process to achieve the goal. So you're going to really enjoy this episode with, as we call him, Buddy E, right after this. Our partners over at Linksole have been providing us with the best apparel for both on the course and off the course, from polos to t-shirts like the one I have on right now. Everything that they have is meant to be worn from the golf course to wherever you're going next, whether that be casual, whether that be to the beach. There's all different options over there. So go to 18strong.com/Linksole. You'll get 20% off of anything in your cart over on Linksole's website. So again, 18strong.com/Linksole for our favorite brand of apparel for anything on the golf course and off. Now let's get to this week's interview. Eric Schaetty, Buddy E, welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast. How we doing?
Good to be here. Glad to be here.
Great to finally have you. This is cool. So a couple episodes ago, episode 356, for those of you that watched it or listened to it, we had our buddy Bobby Drummond on in our first Go Forge Yourself episode. This episode, I think, is going to be a little bit of a hybrid. You haven't gone through the Forge or anything, but I want to kind of tell your story, but your expertise is also in the fitness industry, many years, 15 plus years in the fitness industry. We work together on a daily basis. We're roomies in this podcast office.
Humble abode.
But you are also part of the 18 Strong crew and one of the most golf obsessed people that I've ever met in my life, but have made a huge transformation in your golf game over the past year, and then in your fitness over the past couple of decades. So we're going to talk about all of that. So again, welcome, and I'm excited to dig into this.
Finally, glad to be here. This made it to the show.
So tell the folks listening at home, the crew, a little bit just about your kind of golf journey, just this last year, just because I think we'll start there and then we'll dive into everything.
Yeah, it kind of started more, we was in the pit here.
Yeah.
And I was, all winter, banging balls in the pit, hitting, trying to shallow the club. Like that's, it's all you hear now. That's the craze, shallow the club. And I was like just trying to like make the perfect swing, recording my videos over and over and over, and was really trying to get after that, and was really like just trying to develop a good swing. Finally developed some elbow tendonitis and my elbows were bothering me, but I play hockey too. So I was thinking maybe, is it from hockey? Is it from holding my hockey stick? I really didn't know what was going on. So I was like, all right, well, spring comes along. We'll get out of the pit. We'll go start playing some golf. I joined a club, pretty much playing every day. I would say.
Almost every single day.
My wife can probably vouch for that.
Yeah.
So can my kids. But just started going and just playing golf. Got out of the pit and went and just started playing golf, finding out what my misses were, what my yardages were, and just started to kind of get around a course instead of being in a pit and not really seeing where the ball was going or anything like that. So it started out with just, all right, what are your misses? What are your tendencies? What am I doing wrong? And it started from the tee and then worked my way towards the green. So it was like, all right, what do I do with my drive? Started with that and then started kind of chipping away. All right, let's get closer. What are my yardages for all my clubs, carry? And then from 100 yards in, that's where like right now I'm truly trying to like, the bread and butter of the game is from 100 yards in. I think it was a Gary player said he could take a 15 handicap, let him hit a tee shot, and it'll be a 3 tomorrow if he plays the rest of his shots. So kind of took that and just played all summer and went from probably a 12 last year to now I'm a,
4.9. We checked it this morning.
4.9.
So I think, as an outsider kind of looking in on this, I was able to, we were here, we're banging balls together and talking swing and doing all this in the gym here. But it feels to me like one of the turning points was you booked a lesson with our buddy Casey Cox has been on the show as well. And I'll let you tell the story, but and kudos to Casey. Casey was almost like, dude,
yeah,
like you don't need a bunch of lessons.
So Casey, great coach, great instructor. I mean, he is literally like, he makes you feel so comfortable. Like as soon as the lesson starts, he won't even say a word. You just start hitting balls and he just sits there. He's got his thing going and got you all hooked up. He's banging balls. I'm hitting balls. And all of a sudden he goes, hold on. He's like, why are you here? He's like, what are you doing? He goes, you hit the ball as far as I do. Your path looks fine. There's nothing like crazy going on. He's like, why are you here? So, and that's why I was like, well, listen, my driver distance does not correlate to my irons. I'm hitting my iron, my 7 iron, 165 carry. Why am I not hitting my driver 275 yards? I see guys hitting 165 for their 7 iron and they're blasting their driver. I'm only carrying mine 225 yards. So he's like, all right, we'll get your driver out. So we hit a few. He's like, all right. He's like, he grabs the club. He goes, give me that. Looks at it for a second. And he's like, you're playing with an old man shaft. He's like, and this head is doing you no justice. He's like, you need to get a different driver shaft. You need a different head. And I think that'll help your driver. So it was like, okay. So then Andrew, our other friend, he's like, well, I got an extra driver if you want to buy it off me. It's stiff shaft, Titleist. You want to give it a try? And then kind of after that, I was like,
all she wrote?
Yeah, it was all she wrote. So the driver got dialed in and then it was like, let's just take those next steps.
So for those of you that aren't watching, and even those of you that are watching, give me the dimensions. How tall, how heavy are you?
I am about 5'5" and a half and 135, 140 pounds on a good day. And that's on a good day.
And in our group, so we, mandatory golf Friday, we've had our trips down to Nashville. We play with a wide array of guys, a lot of different levels of golf. And I mean, I'd say you're in the top 3 or 4 guys as far as distances, and that includes, a couple of former professional guys that we play with.
Yeah.
So did you see, and one of the reasons that I love having you on here is because you've done what so many of the listeners and all of us have really want to do, right? Like, we all say we want to get faster. We all say we want to do all these things, but ultimately we want to score better. We want to play better. And we want to do that having fun with the game too, and go from a 12 down to below a 5 handicap, right? So over the course of this last year, when you first switched out that driver, I know you immediately liked it. Mm-hmm. Did you see over the course of the year just your distance just kind of slowly get longer and longer because you got more comfortable? Was it a confidence thing in your swing? What was the change there?
It was really, honestly, it was a confidence, and then the feel of the club, and knowing that, like, if I transfer my weight, this club is not going to be whipping around and doing crazy things. And because I could feel with my other club, like I would have it in my backswing and I would go to transition and it would literally feel like I had a noodle in my hands.
Yeah. And I just did.
I did. And I just had no confidence to transfer and get to my left side and get turned over and transfer all that weight. I was just scared to do it. So once I got that stiffer shaft, the different driver, it was like, all right, just swing. You know that you can swing fast enough, just swing the club. So there's more or less like, all right, you got the right equipment. That's partially sometimes the issue. It's like, you just don't have the right equipment.
Yeah.
I had no idea that I was playing with the wrong equipment. So I think it was more confidence and knowing that my body can just go and you don't really have to think about it.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about your background in sports, because, obviously training is what you do. On a daily basis, I see what you do in the gym for yourself. I see what you do with your clientele. And you've started even working with a lot more golfers too. So I want to kind of talk about a little the transition of maybe how you are training them a little differently than some of the other folks you have in the past. But your background, is in hockey, some martial arts. Mm-hmm. And when I watch you swing a golf club, it's a super smooth, almost feels a little effortless kind of swing. Doesn't look like you're trying to swing out of your shoes, but your smash factor has to be so good because of the distance. And we were talking the other day, swing speed wise, it's not crazy speed either, right?
No.
Do you know what your club speed is?
Don't know off the top of my head, but I would say probably 105, somewhere in there.
105, 110.
Yeah,
somewhere if you're really getting after, probably.
Yeah, nothing wild.
Yeah.
I'm not swinging like a Tour Pro or anything wild like that, but yeah, it's probably around 105 to 110.
So your background in those sports, and I'm really curious we've talked a lot about hockey players on here, but I'm even curious about like the Muay Thai and kickboxing, and like, I would imagine that quick hips, hip-driven stuff, makes a big difference.
I was thinking about that, and I was like, the crazy thing is that you talk about the hockey and that I'm a left-handed hockey player. Mm-hmm. It's the only thing I do left-handed is I shoot a hockey stick the opposite direction that I swing a golf club. So it's like that, people would think, all right, well, you're swinging the opposite direction of your golf club. So I was like, what is it that made my golf swing so much different than anybody else's or the guys we play with? And then I thought about it. There are so many leg kicks that I have thrown, or punches that where you're have to rotating your hips, and it's fast. It's over and over and over and over, throwing leg kicks over and over and over. And I think it has a lot to do with throwing the leg kicks, throwing the punches, that you're jittering that hip, that torque, and all of that speed and through your hips and through your legs.
Yeah, I would imagine that never really thought about it this way, but of all sports, something like that where you're striking on a continuous basis, when you're training, you might not be going boom, 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 but you're striking, relaxed, striking. That's a little bit more like the golf swing compared to almost any other sport.
In Muay Thai, they actually it's not like kickboxing, and in that kickboxing, it's a lot of volume, throw kicks, and you want to throw them hard. In Muay Thai, you are hitting to hurt. Mm-hmm. Like, you throw a leg kick, you're trying to chop their leg down. Like, that is literally what you're trying to do. You're trying to kick their leg as hard as you possibly can. So I think there's a lot of that, like, transfer. It's like, well, as soon as you get that pattern laid down, it is almost effortless. When you throw a leg kick, you don't even think about it. There's some great MMA fighters. There was an interview I saw the other day. It was Pereira, this guy who just fought, and he was messing around with Daniel Cormier. And he goes, all right, and Cormier goes, he's a Brazilian guy, he goes, throw 30%. And he literally just barely tapped him. And it looked like Cormier was going to fall over and crash.
Yeah.
So there is that transfer, but it's a forceful power transfer.
Do you think that plays into, talking about kids, growing up and playing, and we talk about speed all the time now, but kind of talking about the way that Jack Nicklaus talked about this, getting kids to just swing as fast as they can in order to gain speed early, because that like you said, the pattern gets ingrained, the muscle memory gets ingrained.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And you need when you're young, when you're a kid, there is no fear. Like, when we get older, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen to my back. I might throw my shoulder out, man. You know, like, you're so worried about how hard you're going to swing because you might hurt yourself. So I think a lot of it when you're a kid, you know, just as well as I do, like, our kids are fearless. They do not care. They will do anything. So I think it's when you're really young and you get them into something, just let them start. Hey, swing as fast as you can. Go ahead. I mean, because the odds of them getting hurt, I mean, are fairly low with just swinging a golf club.
Right. And I think repercussion-wise on the golf course, they don't care as much either, right? So exactly. They're losing dad's golf balls. They're not losing their own golf balls. They're not typing their gin handicap in.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your world of fitness. What got you really involved in the training side of things? When did you start with the martial arts? Did you do that as a little kid, or was that something?
No. So growing up, it was just hockey. I mean, I did, CYC soccer and all that growing up, but it was mainly hockey. Did a little bit of D2 club hockey in college. Really was just hockey. I really didn't lift weights in high school. We didn't have these kids nowadays, you have like an after school training program, you're going off ice, conditioning, this and that. We had none of that. I mean, it was basically you were on the ice and that was it. I didn't touch weights. I mean, besides, curls in your basement,
getting stuck under the bar.
Yeah, the screw on dumbbells. Like, it really was just that. And then basically it was in my around 2007 when I was out of college, 2008, a friend of mine who worked in the bar industry with me was a trainer at Club Fitness in the old Rock Hill location, which is like a gymnastics place now. And I went in there one day and he kind of showed me a few things and was like, I just want to, start lifting weights. I'm not trying to, and it was kind of the time I was getting into the martial arts a little bit. And I was just like, I need to learn how to lift weights. Can you help me? And he helped me a little bit. And through the course of like that year, I just transformed myself. I transformed my body. It was kind of like, wow, this is cool. Like, I feel great. Like, I love the way I feel. I love what I'm doing for myself. Like, I was like, this is really uplifting. And I mean, at the time I was working in bars. I was like, so that same guy, I went to him one day. I was like, hey, how do we get a job doing this? Like, I love the way I've done this for other people. Where do I start? Like, and he was like, all right, well, we'll get you signed up or whatever. And you got to get this certification or that certification. So I went and got to do NASM and little trial period, but it was literally, it was basically walking in the door, talking to an old friend and just kind of like, dove in head first.
Yeah. And you made a pretty significant transformation in your body, in your fitness, your lifestyle. So you've done all of that. What was your journey then into the training side? I know you worked in CrossFit, weightlifting certifications. Mm-hmm. What was the journey then kind of, up until where we are now?
Yeah. So when I was a lot younger, I was not even like towards the beginning of my training side, my training career, I was still like, even when I was doing martial arts, like some of that, I would go out after practice and I was still smoking cigarettes. I was like, I'm drinking beers. Like, I was not eating fast food, just not the bastion of health. So once I got into the training side of it, I'm like, all right, this doesn't correlate with my image. I can't walk in smelling like cigarettes. I can't, be eating fast food and whatnot. And it was like, all right, well, the Muay Thai, that training was over. And I was like, I need something more competitive. Like, I'm really ultra competitive. I'm uber competitive. So I'm like, what can I do? And that's when I found CrossFit. A buddy of mine, it was the old CrossFit St. Louis when I was over in Hanley Industrial. It was like a small, like when they say a box,
yeah,
it was a pull-up bar, some weights, and that was it, right? So I got into that, got super competitive with it. I got my first muscle up, and it was after that, like, it kind of took off, and that was like, all right, I really love this. I did CrossFit for a long time. I probably did CrossFit for 5 or 6 years, something like that, give or take. And I got ultra obsessed, started coaching it, like was USA weightlifting certifications and just like was really like just engulfed in CrossFit. And I will say, like CrossFit, that's the one thing CrossFit has done or two things actually. Community is one.
Totally.
Like, you cannot put their community up against, well, maybe ours, but you can't really put it up against any other like community out there. Like, they are so close. It's so tight.
Yeah.
And two, what it's done for just fitness and weightlifting in general. You can go drive down the street now and buy barbells.
Yep.
And buy weights and buy plates. Without CrossFit, none of that is possible. You wouldn't have show me weights. You wouldn't have a lot of these different places where like you can just walk down the street and like, I'm going to go squat today, or I'm going to go drop in while I'm out of town. I've done that. I'm going to Florida and be like, hey, do you guys mind if I just, go over in the corner and squat? So, got into CrossFit, got into these different certifications, and just like basically the CrossFit helped me a lot with like learning all the basic foundational lifts and all that. And then some of the other certifications are great, but it's the experience I've acquired over the 15 years that I've just learned so much over the past 15 years as far as just in the gym experience. And then just kind of like, all right, what actually does work? What actually, what anecdotal stuff actually works? So it really wasn't, oh, well, I'm done with CrossFit. It was more like, all right, let's dive into the strength side of this a little bit more. And that's when I kind of got into the strength side of it. That's where I've been at kind of ever since, strength side, and then kind of getting away from the hard cardio and diving back into the golf real hard.
Yeah. So you and I have been working together around a year and a half, something.
A little over 2 years.
A little over 2 years now. So one of the things that I noticed, because we didn't know each other at all before then, was just the way that you train with your clients. A lot of barbell stuff, a lot of strength related stuff, and obviously small gym. We listen to each other's conversations, how we talk to our clients, and I really like the way that you explain to your clients, why you're doing this. You're really big on teaching them accountability on learning their lifts themselves and being able to do this stuff on their own, right? And so I want to kind of go into some tactics on different goals that I think a lot of the crew has, because with golf, it's different than any other sport, because we could have somebody listen to the show that's an 18-year-old male or female. We could have somebody that's a 75-year-old male or female, and all of them want to get better at golf. And if they're listening to this show, they want to figure out what's the right thing for them to do body-wise, fitness-wise. But as I know that you have told so many of your clients, you have to really focus in on what's the main thing that you want to focus on, right? Is it your strength? Is it your fat loss? Is it you want to just move better to swing the golf club better? Is it you want a better golf swing? All of those different pieces are different. What would you say are some of the, and we'll just kind of talk big rock things regarding the differences between if you want to get strong, if you want to lose some weight, and maybe, the third one, if you want to just get moving better. What are some of the things that you would say, like, hey, for strength, you got to do this, fat loss, you got to do this? There's a lot of variables, but
yeah, I mean, for the majority of people, though, I think that a lot of times, everybody is terrified to lift weights, to go into a gym, to do any of that stuff. So first off, that, reassuring people that the rate of injury for weightlifting is that of non-contact sports. You can get hurt just as much swimming as you can lifting weight. So that's the first thing I would say to people is like, listen, you're not going to get hurt doing this. Just commit to it. So, and then most of the people that are listening are probably, and just assume, most are not lifting weights yet, right? So most of them are going to get the best of both worlds. You're going to get stronger and you're going to build muscle at the same time, right? You don't have to pick and choose which one you want to do, because once you get more trained, as you well know, is that you have to pick one another. All right, am I going to get stronger or am I going to build muscle?
That's a great point.
So I would say for the strength side of it is that I would start with just basic things as far as just picking something up off the ground, some type of hip hinge, some type of squatting. And it doesn't even have to be squatting. If you would rather do a leg press, because you feel more comfortable doing a leg press, start with that for strength. The thing is that strength, the definition of strength would be for your bodies to contract against an outside resistance. It doesn't matter what it is to start. Just put something in your hands get a bar on your back if you want, but it doesn't have to be anything like you see on TV or you hear about. So as far as strength goes, just start doing something that's going to put your body against an outside resistance.
What are a couple of things you mentioned? Leg press or squatting, and hinging. I mean, are those the big ones for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, most of my training and most of the way I do train people is that there's always the three main lifts. You're going to do some type of hip hinge. You'll do some type of squatting, whether it's, split squat or something like that. And then you'll do some type of horizontal or vertical pressing based on their limitations. A lot of people struggle with overhead pressing or can overhead press. So you can always modify those things. But you just start with those things foundationally and then find out, what drives a person, because the success of a program is 100% adherence. If you're not going to adhere to the program, you're not going to have success. So find something that you want to do. Mm-hmm. If somebody says to me, hey, Eric, yeah, squatting's cool and all, but I want huge arms. Cool. I'm going to sprinkle in some arm stuff. Or you can sprinkle in for yourself if you wanted to sprinkle in some arm stuff, or you want to do all of my back to get bigger. And you can do that, sprinkle in things that you enjoy, because if you don't enjoy those things, you're not going to adhere to it. You're not going to adhere to it. Fat loss is dependent on, changing your metabolism, right? The way you change your metabolism, change your body composition. If you build muscle, you're going to change your body composition. So just starting out with just some strength training builds muscle, which changes your metabolism. And you're already ahead of the curve because you've already killed two birds with one stone. You built some muscle. Now you've changed your metabolism. Well, guess what? If you change nothing else, you're going to change how you look.
Yeah.
And you're going to burn some fat in the meantime.
More muscle means more burning of calories, which means, calorie deficit or, and then obviously there's the food component to the fat loss, right? Which is a chat that we have in this gym many, many times. And ultimately, once you get past that, the initial phase where just strength training is doing the trick, then you have to start to dial that in. Right?
Yeah. And I think a lot of times people get very, I think over the, I would say the past few decades, there's a lot of like fear mongering of you can't have this or you can't have that. Or, this diet's the best, or this diet's the best, or no, don't touch that. Or, and people, it's like, literally, if you went through all the things people tell you can't have, you would almost have an empty plate. If you're like, oh, there's pesticides on those leaves, or don't drink that soda because it has aspartame, or like, you would literally be able to
don't eat that tomato because you'd be
drinking water and that is it. So the nutrition side of it would be pick something that you want to do, because all diets have one common factor, and that's a caloric deficit.
Yep.
So if you want to do intermittent fasting, cool. If you want to do the keto diet, cool. If you want to do high carb, low fat, that's fine as well. Just pick one thing and work on that. I'm going to eat better for breakfast. I'm going to wake up every day and I'm going to have enough protein to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, which is the process of building muscle. So start with that. And then just start small goals and just work your way up the ladder instead of like, all right, here we go. First of the year, I'm doing it all.
Right.
And before you know it, like 2 weeks down the road, you're like, all right, that didn't go too well. What am I supposed to do next? So I think nutrition is a lot about small goals, work on one thing at a time after you have the strength side dialed in, and just little building blocks along the way.
I want to take just a second to thank our new partner, which I'm really excited to announce, is First Form. First Form is a company that is here in St. Louis, based in St. Louis. It's a nutritional company that is doing incredible things in the world of nutrition. And one of the reasons that we decided to partner with First Form is obviously we're very impressed with their dedication to their products and the quality of their products. But really it's the dedication to them and them helping their customers get real results. Aside from just the products, we got a chance to go and actually visit the facility, again, here in St. Louis, and really walk the halls of the corporate offices. But we got to see the manufacturing plant or the warehouse. And it's not just a place where they're packaging supplements and shipping them out. It's a culture, it's a community, and you can see that amongst the employees. You can see that their culture and their core values that are not just pieces of art on their wall. They're actually living them there, and they're helping to expand those into the community. And really, that's why we partner with First Form. Obviously, their products are incredible. Otherwise, we wouldn't suggest them either. We use them on a regular basis. So you're going to be hearing a lot more about their products and what they can do for your fitness, what they can do for your golf game. The protein powders, the multivitamins, the protein sticks, the hydration packets, all of those products we're going to highlight in future episodes. But we just wanted to really celebrate our new partnership with First Form. You can go to their website, firstform.com/18strong. And we're going to be doing a giveaway every single month with anybody that buys through that link. So go to firstform.com, that's PHORM.com/18strong. That'll take you directly to their website, and you can check their whole suite of products. It's including some of their fitness apparel, and anything that is purchased over there, you're going to be enrolled into our list for our giveaway.
I know that you just recently have started working with a lot more golfers, a lot of guys, people from your club, actually, which is really cool.
Yeah.
When you're now taking a lot of your traditional training style, and you've been doing this for yourself too, working in some things for your own golf game, have you changed anything specifically in the way that you're training them, or in the way that you're training also for the golf purposes?
Yes. As far as the training goes, so foundationally, and I've noticed this, is that strength is a vital component of the golf swing. And it doesn't have to be the sense that people think they need a strong squat, that you need to put 315 on the bar and be squatting 315 for multiple reps. No, you don't. If you come in and say, all right, I was squatting my body weight 3 months ago, now I'm squatting a kettlebell that weighs 53 pounds, guess what? You've gotten stronger.
Yes.
And that is going to correlate over to training. So I don't necessarily have to do barbells with them. I just try to get them to do some type of squat, hinge, press. We're just going to get them a little bit stronger. And then we're throwing in, I'm doing a little more research with this, is that you see a lot of correlation to vertical jumping height, how high somebody can jump, or the vertical force and a golf swing. You also see a lot of lateral rotation, static positions, things like that. So I do like to sprinkle in some lateral rotation stuff. I like to focus on, slamming, whether it's side slam, whether it's an overhead slam, rotations, front leg. And then the big thing that I have noticed, especially with my clients that I've taken from the club, is balance. A lot of them just don't understand how to transfer from the right side to the left side, or a left-handed golf, left to right, is that a lot more balanced stuff, transferring one leg, being on one leg, focusing on finding your balance in your feet, and then being able to transfer from one side to the other. So it's still the foundations of strength, but then you're throwing in little snippets of like, all right, we're going to work on balance today. Mm-hmm. Or we're going to work on your vertical jump, and when I say vertical jump, it doesn't mean that I don't have them doing like crazy box jumps or anything, but just get them to A, move faster, and B, get them to move a little more powerfully.
Yep.
So I think I've incorporated a lot more of that into the golfer side of it, whereas most of my other clients were really not like, I'm not going to do a lot of that stuff with.
Right. A little more traditional with strength stuff.
Yeah.
What I've found with the balance stuff, I mean, initially when somebody says balance, they think, oh, standing on one leg. But it's more than that. And I find that a lot of golfers feel like they're not flexible enough to get into whatever position, but a lot of times it's more their balance. Like they just don't know how to hold a position, or their body hasn't been there. And so once you start to put them in these different situations where you've got them in a split stance and then they're throwing a ball or they're rotating with a cable, they're like, they're a little unsteady. But as they do that week after week, then it's like, I can actually move better through my motion. And it's not because you do a bunch of stretches and you do, a lot of these long duration holds or you're working on getting them all the way into their backswing or position holds. You're just more balanced and you're comfortable and you're understanding what your body needs to do in the swing.
Yeah, and there was another, I think it was Lee Trevino. I remember watching the video about him, and he said, you could take, he lives at a driving range, and he looked at the range, he said, take all these golfers. I could work on their swing right now. We could do all these things to it. He goes, they're going to show back up tomorrow, and they're going to do the same thing they were doing before I said anything. So a lot of these people, like, I'm not trying to change their swing. I'm just trying to get them to understand, like, listen, when you get here, this is when this goes. like I had said something to John and Sharon the other day. I was like, do you understand? I was like, before you start the downswing, your body's actually moving in the opposite direction. And they're like, what? Wait a minute. What do you mean? Like, your body's moving in two different directions at one point in time. So it's things like that. Like you said, getting to understand that your body's going to be moving in two different directions, and you're going to have to find that balance in between those two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mentioned John and Sharon. It's kind of cool to see that you have people from your club. You mentioned that Randy, is it?
Yeah, Randy.
Yeah. One of the first clients that came over from the club. Tell the story on Randy's the client.
So I ended up in the club championship this year. First round, I just got back from Florida. The first round went well. Knocked the guy out in the 19th hole in the first round. So the second round, I had to play Randy. Nobody really knew anything.
It sounded like we had a bar fight, by the way.
Wasn't a bar fight.
Knocked the guy out in the 19th hole.
Knocked the guy out. It got a little iffy out there, but yeah. So I beat Tony in the first round. So I had Randy. Nobody knew anything about Randy either. So these guys like, oh my God, Randy's such a nice guy. He's such a cool guy. You're gonna love it. Like, great. So I ended up playing Randy. Randy goes on a heater the last 4 holes, shoots 3 under on the last 4 holes, comebacks, beats me. So as we're walking up back to the cars, he's like, oh, so you're a trainer, huh? And he's, kind of shakes his head. He's like, well, I have to get your number. He's like, I might have to come see you. So he's like, after I get back from my trip, give me a call. So I texted him, and next thing you know, here I have a client now. So it was like, I lost the match, but I gained a client. I gained a friendship. We've played, random golf together now, like we're friends now. So it's like that bridging the golf was kind of like the entry into like this friendship and relationship. And like, I see a lot of it like with our crew is that it's more than like CrossFit. When I left CrossFit and went home, that was kind of it, right? Like, you spent an hour with them and that was it. You went home, some people you got close with, but a lot of these guys, like you're spending 4 hours together,
right?
Just talking about whatever, shooting the crap, like whatever you're doing. And I think the community in golf is so, it's way different than anything I've ever like threw myself at. I think it's really opened my eyes. Like you can do, and especially with my sobriety, I don't think we've talked about like that very much, is that especially like, I'm like 12 years sober, is that I can go out with people that are drinking, that are on the golf course and still have a good time. And that even like on my own, it's therapeutic for me to go play 18 holes, walk 18 holes by myself, clear my head. Even if I'm having a bad day, it is literally like the most therapeutic thing I think I've ever done for my sobriety.
That's awesome. And I think that's what's so cool about, the community that we're building here, you and I in the gym, and Dave here at Empire Fitness Academy, but 18 Strong just in general, and our mandatory golf Friday. It's like, it's taking a little bit of that CrossFit feel, some of the workout stuff that we do, but then the golf stuff. I mean, so many friendships have developed outside of just, mandatory golf Friday. Start out with a lot of myself, Ryan, and different people that we knew that came and played with us, right? And now it's cool to see like guys in our group like you and Bobby and Brian going and playing in these tournaments and, getting together outside of any kind of affiliated events. And it's just so neat to see it all come together and everybody, enjoying it. And
I kind of get like chills talking about it.
Yeah, like it's so cool. Like it's some of the best friendships that I think a lot of us have had in recent years, because, you can talk about a lot of stuff on the golf course, or you can learn nothing about the guy that you're playing with, right?
Like I did a little meme. Like, you guys didn't talk about that divorce? Oh, we didn't talk.
How many kids does he have? I don't know.
No idea.
But he hit a great 3-wood, in the dark.
Oh.
So kind of the last thing I want to talk about before we close up with our last questions is, and I think this is one of the biggest things that I hear you discuss with your clients, and is probably the most important. You've kind of alluded to it already, is the consistency factor. And I've heard you say over and over and over again to your clients that consistency comes before the motivation, right? So I want you to just kind of explain that a little bit and what that means to you and how it's helped you, but how it's also helping anybody out there.
The big thing that I'd heard that quote somewhere recently, but it was, for me, it happened before that. I was killing myself with cardio. I was rowing for an hour and a half in the morning. I was waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, rowing for an hour and a half. then going to my job at 5 a.m., working all day, and then I would come home and like, I guess I'll do CrossFit. I guess I'll lift some weights or take a nap. And I'm like, and I don't know, you were talking about the walking or something happened. And I was like, you know what? Maybe it worked.
Yeah, it might have been me on the forge.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. And I was like, you know what? You always see these bodybuilders like walking. And then a friend of mine, Jordan Feigenbaum, barbell medicine guy, he had always talked about walking, how it's like, yeah, the key to fat loss is walking. I'm like, this can't be right. And I listened to this guy. I was like, all right, well, let's give it a try. So I scrapped all that. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to walk for 40 minutes every morning. Wake up, no matter what, rain or shine, I'm walking for 40 minutes. I walked for 40 minutes and like 3 months, I had lost like 10 pounds. And I was like, wait a minute, this is weird. Like, I'm in better shape. I look better and feel better than I did when I was killing myself with this hour and a half of rowing 3 or 4 days a week. And it's like, wait a minute, like, I'm walking every day though. Now I'm doing 7 days of 40 minutes. Plus when I'm done working out or working, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go get the kids. We're gonna go play. We're gonna go play golf. We're gonna go do this. And all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, like I'm more active. I feel better. Like walking is the secret because you can do it over a long period of time with no repercussions, albeit if you can, like, yeah, there might be some limitations, do the elliptical or whatever, but it's all of a sudden this consistency was like, wait a minute, this is really working. And then you get motivated. Nobody walks into the gym. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do this for 3 months straight and it's going to be awesome. Like most people walk in like the second or third time, like, I'm going to be so sore. This is going to hurt. Oh man, like this,
I know it's time for this.
Yeah, like what am I doing? And like, it's like, just keep coming back. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. And the consistency comes. And then before you know it, like you get your results and then you get motivated. Then the train's on the tracks. It's heading downhill and you're like, all right, what's next? Like put a bar on my back, right? Put a bar in my hand. Let's do something crazy. Like, right? Like, so like, I think the consistency people don't understand is like, you will get consistent, then you will get motivated. You know, just go to the gym. Just start going, whether you want to or not. I promise you, in a month you will change.
And that it works for everything too, right? So it works for strengthening. It works for walking. It works for nutrition. Not trying to do it all at once because you know that that's just going to fail in a week. Even if you're the most motivated person initially, you go through a week of trying to do everything every single day. It fades. Life gets in the way. But that's what we've noticed with the Forge is we don't tell people what to do when they work out. We don't tell people what diet they need to choose, but you have to do it for 40 days straight. And it's like, just trust the process. Pick these couple simple things. Or if you're wanting to get stronger, okay, I'm going to go to the gym 2 times a week and I'm going to lift something kind of heavy, right? And do that for 2 times a week for 52 weeks and you're going to see a totally different person.
And there's research and anecdotal evidence and personal experience like that produces results 2 days a week or what? You will see results from 2. You don't have to go to the gym every day. Just go do a full body workout twice a week. You will get results. Mm-hmm. And there's evidence to prove it. There's anecdotal stuff. There's clients that we've had or, like the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
You don't need to go every day. It doesn't need to be as hard as people kind of make it sound.
And as you said earlier, if you're somebody that hasn't done that in a long time, you're a little nervous about going or you're just kind of dreading getting that ball rolling. The cool thing is like you're the person that's going to get the most out of it initially. If you're somebody that has been training for a while, it's harder to dial those results in. But if you are kind of starting fresh, simple little things are going to do a lot.
Yeah, even like a couple hours a week, you're going to transform your body. You're going to do things and feel things. And I think that's the other big thing is like most of the people that come in and like, I think like our crew, it's like, yeah, they want to, hit the ball further, but they don't want their back to hurt. Mm-hmm. They don't want their knees to hurt. Oh man, I'm sick of my shoulder hurting or my back hurting. It's like, just do these fundamental things and your back will start to feel better. Your knees will feel better. You'll walk 9, 18 holes and be like, I feel pretty good. Let's do it again, right? Like, so I think that's the other side of it with the strength training is that there's other benefits to it besides just hitting the ball farther,
right?
Or getting stronger. Like there's lifelong things that you can acquire down the road.
most of the people I think that are in our crew listening, that are in our local crew playing Mandatory Golf Friday, probably the 35, 40 plus, mostly male, right? Like the guys that we play with. And to your point, like it's not all about golf. And 18 Strong has really never been about just lowering handicaps, right? It's about so much more, especially with my background in PT and injury and just moving better. But tell me if you see the same thing. I mean, we're now in our 40s. I'm 45, you're 41.
Gonna be 42.
So like we have a lot of friends now that are kind of getting to that point where they're well established in their careers. They have kids that maybe are, in late grade school, high school, some college, but they've been maybe at a desk for a long period of time. They kind of, I feel like we get into this place, especially as guys, where you get into your career, you're focusing on your family, you're focusing on doing all the other things, and you kind of let your taking care of yourself go a little bit. Have you found that that's a big part of the golf community that you've seen and talked to and worked?
Yeah. A lot of the times, and I mean, even like my brother. I mean, my brother's a little bit younger than me. Same thing. Like he's very busy with his work life, and it's like he's a really good golfer, very good golfer. But it's like he prioritizes family and everything else over other things like that, right? Taking care of himself. I mean, he's in fine shape, but I just see like little examples of like you said, like people letting their other the rest of their life kind of get pushed aside for family or for whatever reason, work or whatever it is. But I mean, especially my advice to that, just get up and walk every morning.
Yeah,
just start with 15 minutes of walking. Just get up and be like, I'm gonna go walk every morning, 15 minutes. That's all. Just start with that. Before you're like, oh, I might do 20 minutes. I might do 30 minutes. Because even walking is going to build the muscles in your legs. You're going to get muscle strength just from walking. So even like that, just starting with that,
And you could throw a little 5 pounds, 10 pounds in the back, right? Like just start to get a little bit of resistance. More.
Produce some resistance.
Exactly. I have a quick story before we jump into this last question, or these last questions. I've got one of my clients, Greg, who you probably know, but I'll never forget, like, we met and started working with each other, I don't know, 6-7 years ago or so. And he is now, I think, 75, but was just kind of retiring, wanted to start playing a lot of golf. He's a pretty decent golfer, but he said to me at one point, after we'd been working together for like 6 months, like, man, I would give you $1 million if you could put me in a time machine and we could have met 20 years ago, like because of, he just let his body get to that point, and now he's 67 years old or 68 years old, and it's like, you can't get it back. So I guess this is my PSA to all you guys and girls out there. Like, it's never too late to start, but start today, right? And that's kind of our whole mantra of no mulligans is like, hey, you don't get a mulligan for life, right? Like, you don't get to do this over. You're going to go up and down with your fitness, but like start today and start to do something because you don't get today back, right?
No. And then that's, I mean, I would say the same thing. Like, I wish I could go back. But the other thing is that people like that, what I have done in my life has led me to this place in time. So just take it for what it is and then just move forward, right? Like, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you if it wasn't for all these little things that have happened in my life. So just take it for what it's worth. And then you just move forward from there. Like, why change it?
Right.
It's happened.
Yeah.
You can't go back. We can't have a time machine.
Right.
It's like, let's think about like moving forward, the next step. So what are we going to do next, right? You can't go back in your time machine. We can do something. We can get up tomorrow. We can go for a walk.
Yep.
We can go put a barbell in our hands. We can go to the gym. We can go find a strength coach. We can go do Pilates or bar or whatever you want to do. But let's move forward and not backwards.
Right. Awesome. All right, brother. Let's get into these last questions. Caddyshack, Happy Gilmore.
Caddyshack, 100%. It was Christmas. It was always on. Always on. My grandpa's house. We watch Caddyshack every year.
Love it. All right, if there's a walk-up song that you can pick first to the tee box at Waterloo Country Club, well, what are you picking? I don't know. Not really. Whatever you want, but walk-up songs to the first tee box.
Getting Hectic by The Urge.
All right. Is there a different one that you would pick at Waterloo Country Club?
Yeah. Probably, I mean, It depends. Do I want to intimidate people? It'd probably be corn blind.
Okay.
How about Billy?
I love it. Bill loves it too.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What's our next one here? Oh, is there a book that you love, that you've read, and that you love to recommend to people, whether it be golf, fitness, life?
Well, it's an actually, and it's not a. It's the Bobby Plager's biopic, Tales from the Blues Bench. It is some of the funniest stories. You like things about the 60s and the 70s in hockey that you wouldn't even like. You would think they would do it today, and you'd be like, you go to jail. Like some of the stuff they did, and it's a fun read. Like it's a great story. So yeah, Tales from the Blues Bench, Bobby Plager.
All right, who's your celebrity foursome? If you could pick, a foursome to go play with, you get 4.5 to 5 hours to walk and just kind of shoot the shit with these people. Who's it going to be?
John Daly, Michael Jordan, and my grandfather. So my grandfather's the one who helped me like learn how to play golf, but we never played like a full round together.
Really?
For as long as, never played because when I was like drinking days and like, I would love to have that back to like how I am now. I would love to have that back.
Is he still here?
No, he passed away 3-4 years ago. Right around there. So I would love to have that.
Would your grandpa get in on the games too?
Oh, absolutely. He was the one of the country club. He'd be in other games.
We forgot to mention that you are the assistant to the chief gambling officer of the 18 Strong Crew Mandatory Golf Friday. So I know there's going to be some serious games with MJ, John Daly.
Oh, absolutely.
And
all the games.
I will.
All the games.
All right. If we're loading up the 18 Strong jet, we're flying anywhere you want to go. What's your bucket list course? And I'm going to throw this out like I did to Bobby too. I'm going to take it. You can say it if you want, but you're going to give me another one. I'm going to take Augusta and St. Andrews off the table.
Riviera.
All right.
Riviera. It's super hard. It's Northern California. Like, it's beautiful. Riviera, for sure.
All right. Is there a social media account that you think that the 18 Strong Crew should go follow, whether that be golf or whatever? But
Barbell Medicine.
Okay.
Barton Barbell Medicine, Jordan at Barbell Medicine, or Austin Baraki at Barbell Medicine.
All right. There we go. All right. And last one, what's the best piece of golf advice that you've ever been given?
Take your medicine. Take your medicine. Take your medicine. My grandpa used to tell me all the time, just take your medicine. To get in trouble, take your medicine.
Good advice. Good advice. All right, brother. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being on. Where can people go and find you?
eShats82 on Instagram, Eric Schaetty on Facebook, Schaetty Fitness Consulting, or come see us here at Empire Fitness
Academy. And I'm going to try to twist this guy's arm to do a little content for 18 Strong with us here too. So you'll be seeing a little bit more of him as well. So, all right, brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to the 18 Strong podcast. And don't forget to go follow us over on Instagram at 18 Strong. And if you found this episode helpful and want to help us spread the mission of 18 Strong, please share with a friend. Train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.